Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come.
Yes, welcome. Hello to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 124th show. My name is Lisa Burton, and I'm a heart-centered lifestyle coach.
And I'm Rosemary LaChance. I'm a Reiki energy healer and a spiritual developer.
We are the co-hosts for this thought-provoking series.
Therapist.
And are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their field. If you know of any subjects that you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone who you think would be an interesting guest, please do let us know. And also please like us on Facebook, under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures of some of our past guests and ask questions or leave comments. So enjoy the show.
Okay, we've been on hiatus for a month and month and a half, so we got to get in the groove again.
Yeah.
All right. Tonight is our 124th show. The title is On the Edge of Reality, and our guest is Colin Andrews. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you very much,
Welcome.
Rosemary.
Oh,
Nice
wonderful to be
back.
here. This is our second show with Colin, and he's been more famous for coining the phrase crop circles. So I'm going to give you a little bit about his bio. Colin Andrews is an electrical engineer by profession and former senior official in British regional government. He is a visionary and 30-year veteran investigator of unusual phenomena. He is best known for his work with crop circles, a term he coined in 1983. Colin is responsible for discovering the correlation between patterns of radar, interference, and weather conditions in Australia, where weather modification projects are underway. He is currently involved in investigating consciousness and non-ordinary reality. He is the author of 8 books, including The Complete Idiot's Guide to 2012. That's great. And The Akashic Record with Cynthia Andrews, his lovely wife, and has participated in numerous television programs and documentaries. He has acted as advisor to several movies, including the Mel Gibson blockbuster for Disney called Signs. He also advised Queen Elizabeth and Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's cabinet on the crop circle mystery as it was unfolding during the 1980s. His work can be viewed at www.colinsandrews.net. Colin has received a number of awards of recognition for his work, and we'll give you all his contact information at the end of the show. So we don't have to ask you how you got into this. That's what we usually do with our guests, but that's not necessary. So we're going to start with, well, we do have this, your background. All right, tell us your background, how you got involved with this work.
Well, as you were saying in setting the program up, I'm an electrical engineer by profession. Mm-hmm. And I had, back in 1983, about 200 government people under my management. And I was on my way to a meeting, just a regular meeting, in July 1983. And I just happened to make a casual glance. I was on high ground with my motor car, and thinking about my meeting that I was going to in one of the offices there, close to Winchester, the ancient capital of England, before London took that role. And I looked left out of my motor car. I was on high ground, and there in the field, in a very bright golden wheat field of ripened plants, were 5 circles forming a cross. And I took another glance to the left to reassure myself that that's what was there. And I mean, it's literally true to say, Rosemary, that one hears this kind of thing said from time to time, but that my life literally changed in a casual glance of half a second. I stopped my motor car, I looked at what I could see, and I was late for my meeting. I walked down the hillside through some barbed wire that the farmer had around that field, and walked through the standing crop, which was, you know, on now level ground, because I was at the bottom of the valley, until I could make my way towards where I remembered it being roughly in the field. You can't see, when you're
on
flat
level ground, yes.
Right. So eventually, I just walked through into an opening, which was extraordinary. There were no tracks in the field apart from mine, that I'd come into the field. And I could hear, as I stood there quietly, looking at these spiraling plants that spiraled, flattened, I could hear the plants were making a crackling sound. Mm. And I stood to try and observe what this was. And the plants would appear to have not been in that position for very long. They were attempting to come back up, unravel themselves, and come back up. And for each one that managed to do it, to lift itself back to the sun, there was a very small click. And it was this click, 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 click going on, indicating to me this hasn't happened very long. So, cutting the beginning of this story short, that was the beginning.
Wow.
I returned and I had a privileged position with many contacts in the military and the police and other organizations, and I started making inquiries and found very quickly that this was not a one-off. Farmers, including that farmer, had them right back fairly safely, we can say, into the mid-20s, 1920s.
Wow.
Well before the public are generally aware. People that dig into it find this out, but those that have seen the television, seen the hoaxing, seen all this stuff, are not aware that this has got history. So that's where it began. I was then asked, I had a tap at the door one day, and it was a military person. I had done a little bit of television by that time, and the name and the phenomena, the mystery, was just beginning to lift and take away. Media started to get very interested, and this military person asked me if I would supply some technical and reports, scientific reports, then to Margaret Thatcher's cabinet, to the Secretary of State for the Environment. And that was then the engagement of the government themselves. I then went on to advise the Queen and a number of other royal family members on the subject. That was the beginning, and since then everything's changed. I'm in a different land. I have a different job, this job. I've lost many friends because my whole family is 5,000 miles away. Mm-hmm. And that's really a huge price to pay for something that drives me, that I am aware of a lot of things, most of which is public, some of which is not. Information that's come out in that book has never been known to the public before, and there's more to come, that I know and have been touched by the hand of something very peculiar. And I know that something important is happening. I said that nearly 30 years ago with events that had happened, some of which have now been reported, and we're still on the path, we're still on the track. We are now at the crossroads. This is what was seen to be coming by information we were getting, that there would come a time of general chaotic I'm not going to say collapse, but a reorganization and a transition that was ahead of us. Well, that was 3 years ago. We are now there. Mm-hmm. We're on the threshold of a new reality, hence on the edge of reality. So that was a long opening, but that was really the beginning.
You have yours here. Hold that up.
Yes.
This is the book, and that we were talking about tonight, On the Edge of Reality. I'm sure they can see. There you go, just like that. That Colin just finished writing. It's a wonderful book. I got mine and I couldn't put it down, and it's going to open a whole new world for you. So I hope you'll buy this book. I mean, that you literally changed your life. You knew nothing about crop circles. You knew nothing about what's going on at all. And how do I get research? How do I do this? It's amazing. You had to be picked for this. You had to be handpicked, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and something happened to me when I was 5 years old.
5?
5 years old, yeah, twice, and that again, I hope I'm not repeating this too often tonight, because a lot of things are new. A lot of things are being said for the first time. This is the first television interview since the book was published yesterday. So
Yesterday, oh, wow.
yesterday. So you are the very first, and what you have in those pages and what I'm able to tell you tonight this is the first time this public information has been made available like this. And so what I have kept to myself for reasons of professional reasons and for my own credibility and the job that I was trying to hold down in Great Britain at that time, I did not disclose what my doctors know and my family know about what had happened. And what happened, which is fully described in the book, which perhaps had some setting up of a landscape for me, I don't know. I don't want to take that too far because I don't know why this happened. But what happened, briefly, was that I was asleep. I was 5 years old only. So this was in the early 50s. And I remembered, this is the part that I literally remember, and the rest of it, which I'll explain, came out during hypnosis by Dr. Jim Harder, who was then working for the US government, who also is the person, the scientist who regressed Travis Walton, and a name that has just completely dropped out of my head.
That's okay.
It'll come back in a moment. Barney and Betty Hill were the other people. These are two very well-known cases of abduction by extraterrestrial. They were some of the first people to be regressed to discover what had happened to them. Well, this scientist also, unbeknown to the public, regressed me also in the presence of Cynthia in Branford here in Connecticut. And
This was long after this happened?
this was a long time after it happened. What I remembered, that's the literal physical memory, and I always just explain this to people at the time, my family, that I was having, I thought, a dream, was that I felt a tugging at my solar plexus, and suddenly I was floating, and I elevated up just underneath the ceiling, and I was looking down in the bedroom at my younger brother and my sister, and I moved forward. I completely out of my control. I knew this was nothing that I was doing. In fact, it was numbing and frightening. And I reached the edge of the room where the wall was, and for me, that's where my actual memory ends. The hypnosis, which went on for 45 minutes, that felt to me like 5 or 10 minutes. I went through that wall, I guess in a dematerialization kind of process.
Yeah,
we can only guess at it. But as soon as I was at the back of the house, there was a very bright white light, and it was in a field at the back of the house. And I was taken, just literally glided straight towards it. And I passed 2 military people, human beings, who were extremely serious. They were very cold. They looked like they were concerned or very engaged by what was happening, because I passed them. I went one either side of me.
They didn't see you.
Oh yes, they saw me. They were outside of this bright white light, but they were looking at me in such a hard fashion that they didn't seem to feel like they had any compassion. Oh. It was a job that was being done. And as I went into the bright light, it was extremely bright, brighter than these studio lights by a lot. It was almost like a welding torch. But the moment I went in like that, it was very pleasant. It was a golden amber light, and I rotated around like this and over and down onto a single aluminum material in one. It was a molded plinth, like a shoe hob, and I came down onto the top of it and was facing